So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. I'm pretty fucking pumped to be here. And because, first of all, because I just, enjoy making these videos. And second of all, there is another book, which is fairly new. It's the newest book from this author, and you can probably see it in the background. It's Seht Godin. He's a marketing guy, he's an entrepreneur, he has done a lot of things, and he has written 18 bestseller books, which is just incredible, and they all got, I think, translated into 35 different languages. I know this because I've just been really into Seht Godin and his work and his kind of worldview in terms of marketing and in terms of, being a marketer, which is, incredible. And I would definitely invite you to just search for some speeches of him or some conferences of him and go through them, because you can actually learn quite a lot from him, at my point of view. And it is quite also the worldview that I kind of support and also would suggest to other people. It's like, and it's incredible how calm he is. He's one of the calmest person that I've ever met or ever seen or ever heard talking. And he just really emphasizes and underlines the point that you should be a nice person, some sort of, and you should be a nice marketer. And I kind of feel like he will never just market something that won't, be some kind of bring value to the people that it is made for. And this is the good thing. And this is the thing that I pretty much appreciate about him, because he really emphasizes that you shouldn't market anything to any person that isn't interested in this particular thing, which makes sense, because first of all, you just lose a lot of money. And second of all, you just piss these people off. And so it's just a lose-lose situation. You don't get anything from them, and they get nothing from you as well. So therefore, he really emphasizes and underlines is that you should really only have the smallest audience possible. Like, that is really into what you're doing and what you try to do and so on. And he really also emphasizes, which was kind of the point of the speak that I was just listening to while I was working, actually, because up to now, it's now 2:30 p.m. I've been up to now working on school projects like for, I think, 4 to 5 hours straight, kind of. I've been eating during, or just I had a break in terms of eating, but it was fairly a lot to do. I've designed a website, which is always kind of hard work, but funny work, so I really like to do it, and I think often turns out to be pretty good, which is also a part that plays into, liking a certain work or liking doing a certain work. Because if at the end something doesn't look that good, and you feel like, okay, you've just only lost a lot of time and nothing really is like how you wanted it to be, it is a little bit pissing you off. So it's me pissing me off, but at the end I kind of have to shift my mind to, okay, this is something I can learn something from, and this is not something like a failure, but I do just learn something from that, or I do just some kind of growth from that. But enough being said about me. Let's start with This is Marketing by Seht Godin. This is actually a book that, or the book summary actually got published yesterday, so on the 1st of March 2019, which is, totally great, because this was actually a book that I thought about actually buying. The thing is, this is something that I kind of want to do, because, what the fuck? Is this working now? I hope, by the way, that everything is okay. Yeah, should be okay, I hope. Sorry for blowing into the microphone, but I do just wanted to see. Yeah, that's better. I wanted to see if everything is working like I want it to work. But this is actually a fairly new book, or just extremely new book of him. And I've kind of thought about buying a book, because I actually only read ebooks up to now, and actually thought about buying a real book out of paper, because most of the time it's actually not that more expensive than actually buying an ebook. And therefore I'm just thinking like, okay, why wouldn't I buy just a normal book? Because I then pretty much have the ability to read it always. I can pretty much, copy every single page. Would be possible to kind of, have it or achieve it or archive. Never mind. To just have it, your whole life long, because sometimes the pages will be just destroyed in terms of, the paper doesn't live for such a long time. But let's go actually on with the real summary and the actual summary. So this is Marketing by Seht Godin, a book summary and PDF by the paulminus.com website. And this is a great book for anyone working in or interested in the marketing world. As Godin says, marketing is all around us, from your first memories to the moments before you began to read this book. You have been initiated or inundated, by marketing. So you learned to read from the logos on the side of the road, and you spend your time and your money in response to what marketers have paid to put in front of you. Totally. I think this is definitely something that quite everybody has done. So the introduction. The introduction is basically the same thing as the short summary, always in front or just in the very, very top of this article or of the summaries. But with a little change, there's always something added to it. So marketing, more than a lake or forest, is the landscape of our modern lives. That's definitely true. Marketing is just something that's got so important for a lot of people and for a lot of companies, especially through this digitalized world and through social media and the internet. It's quite really interesting and incredible. Marketing is the act of making change happen. And this is the point that he always makes. He says that marketing is actually making a change. He's not talking about making a good change, making a bad change, but most often it is or should be a good change. Because why would you change somebody's life or somebody's situation in a negative way? They just won't buy into your product. It wouldn't make any sense. So therefore he also emphasizes that marketers as such aren't bad people, and which is definitely something a lot of people just kind of think, because they think like, they only just want to have our money, and they kind of have those psychological tricks so that they can actually do this and whatever, but at the end they only want to make change. You haven't made an impact until you have changed someone. And this is also a great saying, because this quite emphasizes the point that, you can have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't execute and just some kind of achieve something, everything is just, worthless. I do really not want to say that knowledge is worthless, but in terms of this, some kinda. So about the author. In 2018, Seht Godin was inducted into the AMA Marketing Hall of Fame, which is the Association of Marketing, or the National Association of Marketing, of Direct Marketing, I don't remember. That was the culmination of what he describes as more than 30 years of teaching, leading, starting, collaborating, failing, engaging, and seeking. In 1983, Godin was a young and inexperienced brand manager at Spinnaker, a startup software company that he joined after finishing business school. He wasn't very successful in this position. However, since then he has launched dozens and dozens of projects and sold goods and services to many businesses and individuals. He has worked with many of the leading business people of our time. His ideas have built billion-dollar companies and nearly raised that much for many important charities. He certainly knows what he is talking about. And this is always something that I quite underline often and point out often, that you should actually search for books that are written by actual entrepreneurs or actual people that are from that space, because a lot of people, as I always tell, there are a lot of people who just kind of write books to make money, and it's their official kind of job. They only quite write these books, and therefore you cannot be sure, okay, is he really knowledgeable in the space, or is he just knowledgeable in writing good books and marketing them? So therefore look for people who are just really in the space. So we will run over Godin's main ideas, starting with some of his key thoughts on marketing, what it takes to be successful in the marketing world, stumbles that marketers can make least valuable markets, which is basically, I think, the point that I made just before, which is just having the smallest audience you can have, symbols, and finally goals, strategies, and tactics. And I'm pretty fucking pumped for this book, and I'm very, very happy that they actually made a summary of this book, because this is actually something that I'm so interested in that I'm quite happy right now. And happiness is everything. Happy thing. So the book summary itself: marketing. Marketing is a generous act. If all you want to do is make as much money for yourself as possible through marketing, then this book will help you do that. It will also help you see that you can. It will also help you see that you can farm more and can have a very positive effect in many ways. I think that you can have more or farm more, and you can have a very positive effect in many ways. And I think this is actually something that could make you happy, or could. I want to not say that will make you, because I'm, this generalizations and, putting everything and every person into one basket is not the way I want to go, and I will never want to go. I think just helping people and putting people or giving people a positive effect, or some markets a positive effect, is actually something besides making a lot of money will make you happy, because there is something of value besides the money itself. So advertisements used to be what marketing was all about, but there was a sea change near the turn of the century. Since then, the successful marketer is far more than just a producer of advertisement. He or she is not obsessed with marketing and its advertisements, software, blogs, Facebook, etc. So he or she is not obsessed. The other kind of marketing, the effective kind, it's about understanding our customers' worldview and desires so we can connect with them. It's focused on being missed when you're gone, on bringing more than people expect to those who trust us. And this is actually one of the points that he actually kind of points out quite often and pretty much all the time, which is having permission. And some people ask, and this was actually also one of my questions, because I've read a few of his books, or actually I think it was 2 books, but besides that there are actually a lot of free books, ebooks here he just makes, and so therefore go to his blog and you can totally just download them for free, and they basically, I would say, they're just a summarization or a summary of quite all the thoughts he has, or just a lot of things that he just teaches on his blog as well. So at my point of view, it's definitely worth going through them, because at my point of view, there is a lot in them. But he always says that where did I stop? That having permission is actually being missed when you are not there anymore by the people who are serving, which means that, for example, people will definitely miss Coca-Cola when they are gone. So when this company just some kind of gets bankrupt or whatever happens, maybe something happens so that the whole company isn't there anymore, people will definitely kind of miss it. And I know this, even though it's maybe not the best company in terms of health and whatever, but people will miss this company. And this is the point. Will people actually miss you when you're not there anymore? And if so, you do have the permission to advertise on them. This is, I think, the point he always makes. It seeks volunteers, not victims, and there is a groundswell of people doing marketing because they know they can make things better. And I think this is actually a very great point. Just making things better. In the world, it's not only about making money, it's about, for me, making things better and providing better things for people so that they have a better life. So successful marketing. Marketing is very much in the hands of the creator of the goods or service to be marketed. There are a few steps to successful marketing. The first one is the marketer dealing with something that is worthy and has a story which is worth telling, which basically means, is your product good enough? Is it good enough to talk about it, to market it, to just sell it? And if not, you should totally work on it a little bit more. And there you kind of just have to be truthful to yourself and be like, okay, is this actually something people will need or not? And the second thing is make sure that this thing can help at least a few people. This should be the smallest viable market. Totally. So it should help people. Without solving a problem or without giving value to people, you won't be able to sell your product or to market it properly, in my point of view, because if nobody needs it, nobody will just, buy into it. The third one is the marketer must tell a story that matches the lives and dreams of the smallest viable market. Therefore, if your market is like animal or pets lovers, just telling stories about pets and loving pets and just dealing with pets and whatever will definitely some kind of connect to them, and they might be or definitely be interested in these stories. The fourth one is the marketer spreads the story, totally. And the fifth one and the last one is the seller, producer or creator shows up in a useful and necessary way. Marketers must never forget it is impossible to change everyone. Asking who it's for will focus your attention and help you deal with non-believers. What you say about something is not nearly as important as what others say about it. Yeah, that makes sense. And it also makes sense. This is the great thing, and I do point it out quite often, up to now, that the more you read and the more you just are in the space of, business and marketing and finances, the more things make sense. And this is so amazing. This just feels so good when you just see, okay, you read one fucking sentence and you feel like, okay, I now understand a completely different part of life. This is just incredible, and I do hope that through these videos that I'm making and through these content that I'm just giving to the people, that some people actually think like, okay, this kind of really changed my day and my thinking, or this kind of changed my way of thinking about this person or this thing or that situation or whatever. And it's just incredible. And to pretty much explain what I just read, I read the sentence, what you say about something is not nearly as important as what others say about it. And this really plays into the hands of Gary Vee, actually, because he always emphasizes and says that he doesn't consume anything. He only consumes people consuming something, which means that he actually only listens to the people and actually only just reads comments and on every single platform, that he actually knows what people are pumped about, what they think about certain stuff, because what other people say is more important than what he is saying or what he is thinking. And now this makes sense. And that's, I think, totally true. You as a marketer, it's not about you. It's not about, making a product that fits your personality or your traits or your beliefs. It's about the people. It's about your viable or smallest viable market. Marketing changes people through stories, connections, and experience. This last sentence can be crucial in marketing. Create experiences for your customers which make what you are selling obvious and irresistible. Be market driven. Do not be marketing driven. Count on people acting irrationally. Count on people acting irrationally. Stumblers. Earlier we referred to the smallest viable market, which is those for whom the product or service is ideal. The book mentions some stumbles that marketers often make as they search for this. The first is to have impossible ambitions. Don't believe that as a result of your marketing effort, you can get everyone to succumb, it's SUCCUMB, to your blandishments. And that's totally true, only by marketing. Do not really think about it as, you will just, get everyone's attention, everyone will buy your fucking product only because you have a great marketing strategy or whatever. Only your viable market will just buy into what you're doing. because you're just actually making this product for them. Find the correct market for what you're selling. Select your smallest possible audience and look after this smallest audience. The second stumble you can have is a failure to be clear about the promise that you're making. He gives some very good examples. The chapter dealing with the smallest viable market finishes with 8 great points. We give 4 below as they are so important. The first one is focus on the smallest viable market, totally, because it's the product you're making is basically only for them. It's their ideal product. It basically just only, but therefore on the other side, just really perfectly fits their lives and their beliefs and just what they think. The second one is match the worldview of the people being served. Show up in that worldview. Show up in that world with the story they want to hear, using the language they understand. Definitely. Make your story easy to spread. If every client brings one more client, within a few years you will have more than you can count. Makes sense. Because you can just bring so much value to the people because you talk in their language. You talk about stories they connect with, or they just connect with, and the product or service that you're making is just so perfectly fitting them that they will just be like, okay, I have a friend who has the same problem as I'm having, or who is quite the same person with the same worldview and the same habits and whatever as I am or as I have, and therefore I'm going to you and just spread the message and whatever. And the last one is keep the attention and trust of those you serve. So keep the attention and trust of those you serve, which means that you, I think it's important. I think it's especially important if you're some kind of an influencer to really keep the attention and the trust of those you're serving. If you're really, as I said, an influencer, having a lot of ads, especially about products that, might not actually fit the people you're serving or the people you just, speak with in your blog or on your Instagram account or whatever, might just really piss them off. Totally. And I think it would just piss me off as well if, I'm following someone and they just, have ads all over the place and whatever. So in terms of on their platforms or on their profiles, not like they, make ads. You can't please everyone. Godin dwells on the fact that there is nothing that appeals to everybody. This wise marketer knows this and carefully analyzes using graphs, and Godin shows how the market and what part of your product or the one you are charged with marketing will fit into. Do not overestimate yourself. Find a place where your product will shine. Make sure the product is sound and worth getting. If you fail, to do this, then the only point of difference you can have is the price. Totally. And this just really, really strikes because he points out that the price is actually the last thing you should change. Price is not the first thing you should do, which is, basically what all of the people are doing. If something isn't working, they just make it cheaper. But this is not a good idea because having a price or just changing the price or quite having a price is marketing. A premium product just has to be more expensive than something else. If it's, if it has more quality or not, doesn't matter. It's because it is a fucking premium product. If it's a really cheap product with a cheap design and, a cheap brand, it has to be cheap. And nobody, at my point of view, you would buy it if it was expensive, even though the quality would be better. But if you can just clearly see that this is a cheap product, nobody would buy it. And so therefore, find the place where your product will shine. Definitely. Do not, open a store in a place where no one of your viable market is there. Make sure the product is sound and worth getting for the viable market. And if not, change it up. And if you're not in the market right now, also change it up. And if you fail to do this, then you should only change the price. So make sure that you are in the right place and your product is right, and then change. Eventually, if everything is not worth or just working, then change the price. Godin talks about neophilics. These are the 16% of the people who are prepared to try something new because they have a problem and are seeking a change. Good marketing recognizes the importance of neophilicians or philiacs and how good marketers direct their principal efforts to seek and communicate with them, because they are the early adapters or the early birds, whatever you want to call them. And these are basically the people that are, the first ones who actually try out your product and, fuck with it and whatever. And these are pretty important because they actually spread the message. And if they recognize that your product is actually a good one and they can some kind of use it and it is just important to them and they will definitely miss them or it if it's not there anymore, then they will just, this is the reason why they're important, because they're spreading it and they're the first ones who are just really into, really buying into it and trying it out and whatever. So having recognized this, always remember to treat people differently and with respect as their needs and wants vary. However, you only have so many resources, so you should always be on the lookout for people who could be customers. They are a precious resource and need to be treated as such. Similarly, look at your current clients. Go the extra mile for the really good ones. And if you don't, then you may well lose your very business. And this is actually a point that he made, which kind of made me think kind of deeply, because he said there is a good company, if I remember it correctly, I hope so. There is a good company and there is a bad company, or a good service or bad service or whatever. And the good service is good because the customer is good, and the bad service is bad because the customer is bad. So at the end, it always comes up to the customer. I'm not quite sure about this. I do quite understand it in terms of actually my experiences with working with clients and so on, because in the design world, working with some people who do not have any clue about design and how all the things are working, they just, it's pretty hard working with them. So with the experiences I made with definitely people that do not have any clue about what I was doing for them, it was really like, okay, they don't get me some kind of, and I really felt like, okay, these are not good clients, because at the end maybe the product was good, or I don't know, but working with them was pretty hard. And just to say this, because a lot of people do not understand what I'm doing. If they just, a lot of people do also underestimate or probably underestimate what I'm doing, as a designer. Because, if someone wants a logo or wants a post or whatever, they just, tell me, okay, do this and that and whatever. And then I send it to them and they're like, no, I didn't want that. Or they, get everything completely wrong because they do not give me the right instructions. This is the problem. But most of the time I feel like, okay, asking again and again and again will probably piss them off. But this is the fact. A lot of people just feel like, okay, I give you some information, you will do something and everything will be okay. But yeah, I think so. So the least viable markets. Godin continually talks about the least viable market. If you're going to have a least viable market, then you had better have something worthwhile to offer. Totally. And when you do have something worthwhile, you will have worked hard producing it, but your customers become your evangelists or whatever. And this brings far more benefits than if you had to expend energy in gaining them yourself. Your costs are linear, but your expansion is exponential. So I read that again because I want to know this. So when you do have something worthwhile and you will have worked hard producing it, but your customers become your evangelists, this brings far more benefits than if you had to expend energy in gaining them yourself. Which I think means that you should actually search for a market and then produce in this market, which makes sense instead of kind of making these people yourself. if I'm understanding it correctly, but I hope maybe the statement of him might make it a little bit more clear. So he repeatedly stresses, don't be discouraged by those who reject your marketing message. They are right in their own way. You must not see them as being wrong. Some rejection is inevitable. Because maybe the people you have just, messaged, or you just, send your message in terms of marketing towards, they are not in your viable market, and they actually do not care about the product you're just offering them. The marketer needs to connect with as many people as possible. He or she probably needs to find out what large groups are thinking and believe. It is necessary for marketers to be aware of status and its importance in human affairs. Status is not determined solely by wealth or money. Totally. It's also in terms of, why do people buy a BMW? Because it makes them feel good, because they think other people think differently about them if they're driving another car or a more expensive car, which is then called only status. Godin is very critical of business plans and suggests that a better business plan for marketers will have 5 sections, which are: the truth is the first one is, and that's totally something I would, I want to emphasize more. Assertions, which is something I do not know and therefore look it up. The factor part is that often I do not even know the words in German, so so I don't know. Alternatives is the third one, the fourth one is people, and the fifth one, the last one, is money. Briefly, these have the following information. Truth is where there is information about the market, competition, needs, etc. Assertions will tell the reader what the product does. Alternatives will reveal precisely that and should show the flexibility in what it proposed. The people section has details about your team and those people in your market. Finally, money explains how the project being marketed is financed, how much finance it needs, how revenue is collected, the cash flow, and any other relevant financial information. So to summarize it up again, having a great business plan consists of truth, assertion, alternatives, people, and money. Truth was where the information is about the market and the competition needs are. Assertion is it will tell the reader what your product actually does. The alternative is what flexibility your product or your reveal has. The people section is all about your team and about the people you're marketing it towards, and money is about how you finance it and how much your revenue will be and or should be, and all these things. Symbols such as logos or thoroughly discussed by Godin. Basically, he sees them as an important part of the story that you are telling. He continually reiterates that what the marketer should do is address the needs of the market and not what he or she thinks or wants. Which basically means, you shouldn't actually make a product that is fitting you, but a product that's fitting the people you're willing to serve. As an example, the creation of a website should be done professionally. Websites send a company's message to the world. And it is something you definitely see quite often, that people and businesses do have such badly designed and such bad websites also in terms of the user experience. So some things even don't work, and which is always, by the way, a good strategy to see if a website is fake or not. Just go to every single link and see if the links actually lead to something, because often it is like they have or seem to have Facebook and Instagram and whatever, but basically, or at the end, these links only lead to some websites or even the same website you're on right now. And go to the impressum and see where the company is, look it up on Google Maps, and especially, which was something that quite was actually officially said by Fujifilms, was that there was a website that were selling their Instax cameras, but it was a Instax cameras, but it was actually a fake website, and you could clearly see it by actually going through every link and actually going to the map and seeing to Google Maps and seeing, okay, is there actually a building where they say is a building, and actually go to the original website, which was actually badly or way worse designed than the fake website, and so on. So it was just incredible how good this fake website was. But always looking for the links and all this stuff is a good thing. Should I end it there? I do just have to think like, okay, to really not cut it off, just really provide more information about this certain thing in other episodes as well, so that it's more like, okay, there are actually only a few left, and I'm 35 minutes in. Actually, I'm going through the whole one today, because it's actually a fucking great episode. Everything is running fucking good. Everything is great, but I don't know. I don't know how I should say it. Goals, strategies, and tactics. Godin talks about the difference between goals, strategy, and tactics. He defines goals in the following manner. The goal is your shining light, the unwavering destination of your work. Your strategy is the long-lasting way you're investing in reaching the goal, and your strategy sits above your tactics. Your strategy sits above your tactics, and tactics are the dozens or hundreds of steps you will take on the half of your strategy. You can change tactics the moment you decide that they are not helping achieve your strategy any longer. Okay, which means, let's see, your goal is having 1 million followers on Instagram. Let's make it such things. That's because it's easy, I think. So your goal is having 1 million followers. Your strategy is, or would then be, I think, is a long-lasting way. Your strategy is producing content that is for your viable market and that they are interested in, and which is basically connecting to them so that they kind of feel like understood and whatever. So making good content is your strategy to achieve that goal. And how do you achieve that strategy, and how do you do that is by searching or looking your target audience, looking at them, watching them, what they need, testing what things work and whatever. Okay, I get it. Because this was actually something that I've never understood, what actual tactics are and what strategies are. But strategies are long-term, tactics are short-term. So let us take Coca-Cola as an example. Ew. Thank you for making an example. So the goal is get more people to drink more Coke. The strategy is produce a myriad of advertisements showing that Coke is a part of contemporary culture. And that's actually what they are doing. They always show people who are drinking Coke, and the really, how the world is right now. And the tactics are the individual advertisements. Yeah, makes sense. So your whole or your macro is like having advertisement that shows Coke as a part of contemporary culture, and the tactic is then actually making these advertisements and having every single piece of content kind of fulfill these strategy goal, I would say. Brand marketing and direct marketing. At this point, it is sensible to talk about brand marketing and direct marketing. Brand marketing is the sort of marketing as seen by the advertisement in the media such as TV, radio, magazines, billboards, etc. This sort of marketing is not interactive. Direct marketing is interactive, and with the internet is effective, and it is cheaper than ever. Totally. Direct marketing using the internet is measurable, and you can find out quite easily whether your marketing is effective or not, which is totally the case, because if you're, for example, advertising on social media, so Instagram and or Facebook, you can totally see your results, how many people you reached, what people you reached. If you're, you can, first of all, just make a target audience, but at the end, you get really to see what people really connected with what you're doing or what you did, which is incredible. You can totally see where they're living, and this is just amazing, I think, and amazing even in a negative way, maybe. So does price play an important part in marketing? Price can be a tool for marketing. Godin warns about the use of low prices as a marketing tool. If you market your goods or services at the cheapest possible price, so if you market your goods or services at the cheapest possible price, you are sending a signal that all your product or service can be differentiate itself with itself. Your product or service can differentiate itself with its price. I think it's a spelling mistake. So this is usually not a good idea. In his words, low price is the last refugee of a marketer who has run out of generous ideas. However, sometimes free can be a marketing tool. In these words, we don't pay to join. Facebook. It is free to join and use. However, it makes its users vast wealth. Okay, through marketing, I think. I don't know. The conclusion. So the key takeaways are: look for the smallest viable audience, market. Make sure that what you are marketing can help at least a few people, and this should be the smallest viable market. Focus on the smallest viable market, which is so actually know what your smallest viable market is. Make sure your product is fitting them. Only focus on them. Match the worldview of the people being served. Show up in that world with the story they want to hear, using the language they understand. Make your story easy to spread. If every client brings in one more client within a few years, you will have more than you can count. Keep the attention and trust of those you serve, and rejection is inevitable, and don't be fucking evil. Actually a good thing. Actually a really good one. And let's just move ahead with the further reading. The Dip, which is actually also by Seht Godin, and which is actually a book that I've been talking about as well. And this time you can actually search for it. So it is, if you're on a podcast, you can see it in the podcast episode descriptions, because I've always just put the title of the book there since a few weeks, or for a few weeks, whatever, I don't mind. And so to make it a little bit easier for you. And this book, I'm not going to read this kind of summary, but it's basically about when you should quit and when you shouldn't. And Gary Vaynerchuk's The Thank You Economy, which is actually also a book that I've been talking about. And it takes a closer look at the changing platform of marketing, dividing deeper into the world of social media marketing. Then growth hacking marketing is that exponential growth as seen from the likes of Dropbox, Instagram and Facebook is not down to luck, and it hasn't come from traditional forms of marketing. Their paid rapid growth has been engineered from the beginning, and despite being late entrants into their markets, these companies have succeeded using a new age marketing technique. This short book from author Ryan Holiday is easy to read and an absolute must for the modern day marketer. And last but not least, Guidelines, which is the book of the author of this summary, as I'm pretty much always explaining in every single episode on this website. So it basically kind of summarizes 300 books, 33 books into one book, and all these 33 books would have cost you $300 or euros, I don't know. But this actual summary, which pretty much points out 31 rules that are from these books, is only I think $13 or $14. So if you're interested in it, definitely give it a try, maybe because it's not that much. But I think actually This Is Marketing, so the book that I've been just talking about, actually only cost about $12. So it's definitely not much. So this summary is not intended as a replacement for the original book, and all quotes are credited to the above mentioned author and publisher. And that's definitely true. And I'm even thinking about actually buying this book, because there is everything in it where what he's talking about quite often, or whatever, maybe it does make sense that it is called then This Is Marketing, because he actually explains what it is and what he's always talking about. But with that being said, and with actually having only one episode of this book, which is fairly good, I think, because you can go through it, in one go, and whatever. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, success, and I hope you're giving back something, because giving back is important. I hope you have a great legacy. Always watch for your legacy, at my point of view, because it determines how you get remembered, in a good way or in a bad way. And with that being said, I wish you a wonderful day or night, whatever time zone you are in.